Hello everyone. Welcome to today's story. A story filled with secrets, choices, and a love tested between duty and desire. Between endless orchards and the weight of harvest, Alex hides a ring in his pocket. But will Lytuna accept it? On her birthday night, flowers, candles, and a confession unfold. But what secret does Lytuna carry in her heart? And when a child's cry pierces the silence, whose future is she truly choosing? Will love conquer hesitation? Or will the past return to shatter what's about to begin? Stay with us until the end to uncover the truth, because the most dramatic answer comes not in words, but in the quiet acceptance of fate. If you enjoy stories full of suspense, romance, and emotional twists, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and help us reach our goal of 1,000 followers. Your support means we can keep bringing you even more unforgettable tales. The orchard stretched endlessly. Rows of grapefruit and avocado trees bowing under the weight of fruit. Workers moved carefully, their hands steady as they cut, classify, and pack. Alex stood among them, his phone pressed against his ear, voice measured as he spoke to his boss, then to Adam, the demanding partner who would take only 2,000 fruits to test his customers' tastes. Even as he directed orders, reminding Lan to select only the finest, reminding the workers that beauty mattered as much as sweetness, his thoughts drifted, because work was only half his life. The other half, untamed, unresolved, was Lytuna. More than 10 days had passed since he confessed his feelings, and her silence had haunted him in every breath since. His hands could steady an entire harvest, yet trembled at the memory of her eyes, her quiet, her absence of an answer. The orchard glowed golden in the afternoon sun, fruits heavy with promise. Yet Alex's heart felt heavier still. In the pocket of his jacket, he carried a ring, cool metal warmed by his hope. He longed for the day it would rest on her hand, a seal against uncertainty. And then, like a thread pulling him back to fate, he remembered. Today was her birthday. He had discovered it once by chance in the hospital papers. The thought caught him like a sudden breeze through the orchard, stirring his restless heart. Today was not just a day of harvest. It was a day he could no longer remain silent. The day wore its quiet rhythm. Workers finishing, crates filling, the orchard slowly emptying. But Alex's mind was elsewhere. The memory of his confession returned in fragments. Her lowered gaze, the hush that followed, the way her silence stretched, longer than any answer could. 10 days had become 10 eternities. Each dawn he had woken with the ring in his pocket, whispering promises to the void, waiting for courage to find its return. That ring was more than gold. It was a vow yet unspoken, an anchor he held against the storm of uncertainty. He imagined it gleaming against her skin, imagined the calm that would follow if only she whispered yes. Yet fear lingered, that her silence was not hesitation, but refusal. And then the date came back to him with sudden clarity. He had seen it once, tucked between sterile hospital forms, the day he admitted her for the birth of her child. Her birthday, today. The thought struck deep, carrying both tenderness and inevitability. Could fate choose a better moment? The coincidence felt too sharp to ignore. In that instant, decision took root. He would not let this day fade into another shadow of longing. He would make it hers, a day of laughter, of candles, of flowers. Perhaps, if courage held, it would also become theirs. The orchard's perfume seemed sweeter, the air richer with promise. As the sun began its slow descent, Alex knew the night ahead could alter the course of both their lives forever. Alex's steps quickened with resolve. He dialed a familiar number, his tone shifting from the weight of trade to the warmth of intention. Miss Huang, the restaurant owner, answered, and he arranged everything with hushed care. One table, just 2 seats, a cake, a bouquet. The order was simple, but to Alex it was a design for destiny. Yet fate wove another thread. On the way, his eyes caught a figure, slender, familiar, moving quietly along the roadside. Lytuna. The sight unsettled him. Her body was no longer heavy with child. Her belly had returned to its fragile curve. Could it be that she had already given birth? His heart raced, not with jealousy but with a sudden aching urgency. He followed, cautious, until he saw her vanish behind a modest door. Inside, a baby's cry lingered, and an old woman's voice soothed it. He lingered in the shadows, piecing together the truth that life had already begun to shape her days. Still, his resolve did not falter. If anything, it deepened. This was no longer a pursuit of love alone, but of family, of shelter, of becoming the arms that would carry not just her, but the child too. He turned away from the threshold with determination burning low and steady. Tonight, he would not reveal what he had seen. Tonight, he would invite her into a world where burdens softened into celebrations, and within his jacket, the ring felt heavier. No longer a symbol of hope alone, but of responsibility, of belonging, of a vow yet to be spoken under the quiet glow of candlelight. The smell of rice and simmering broth drifted through the doorway when Alex finally stepped inside. Lytuna stood at the hearth, sleeves rolled, her movements quiet but sure, the rhythm of a woman whose days belonged to care. She turned, startled at his presence though not unwelcoming. He spoke gently, almost hesitantly, asking her to come with him. There was something important, he promised, something only she could share. Her eyes softened, but they drifted toward the small figure sleeping in the next room. "The baby," she murmured, as if the word itself tethered her to the ground. Henry, tiny, vulnerable, a weight she bore with pride and fear. Alex's answer came swiftly. They would take the child with them, leave him in his mother's care. His own mother longed to hold Henry again, to cradle innocence as she once had him. Lytuna hesitated, torn between duty and the unknown, yet the sincerity in his gaze, the firmness in his tone, wove a fragile bridge. Slowly, she gathered the child's small clothes, folded with a tenderness that said she feared to let go even for an hour. Together they walked, Alex carrying the boy, she locking the door behind them as if sealing a past life. At his mother's home, warmth replaced worry. The older woman welcomed Henry, rocking him as if time had reversed. Relief shimmered across Tuna's face. For the first time, she stepped into the night beside Alex, unburdened. The world opened before her. The city glowed as dusk settled, lanterns flickering against wet streets. Alex guided Tuna to a small boutique, its windows alive with pale dresses and soft fabrics. Inside, he urged her to choose, to let her hands wander over silks and cottons. She hesitated, overwhelmed by abundance, until he lifted a white blouse from the rack. "This suits you," he said, voice quiet but unwavering. She tried it on, and when she emerged, Alex's eyes lingered with reverence. Simple cloth transformed by the way it held her. For a moment, silence was louder than any applause. From there, he led her to the restaurant, where polished glass walls reflected the rhythm of rain. The table was set for two, dishes arranged like small treasures under warm light. Tuna blinked, almost lost. "Why such a place?" she whispered. He only smiled. "Because today is yours." Her surprise deepened as he revealed the truth. Her birthday. She faltered, admitting she had never known what it meant to celebrate such a day. Childhood had passed without candles, without wishes. Now, the air itself seemed to conspire for her happiness. They ate slowly, rain streaking the glass like moving ink, while Alex, steady and attentive, filled her plate. Every gesture spoke louder than his words. The way he offered fish, poured water, studied her face as if memorizing each fleeting light. Across the table, Tuna felt a warmth spreading, not from the food, but from being seen, cherished, celebrated, for perhaps the first time in her life. When the plates were cleared, Alex asked her to close her eyes. Tuna obeyed, hands folded timidly on her lap, heart unsettled by anticipation. She heard the faint shuffle of his steps, the soft scrape of a chair, and then the fragrance of fresh flowers filled the air. When she opened her eyes, a bouquet rested before her, its petals trembling in candlelight. Beside it, a cake, simple yet radiant, flames flickering atop. "Make a wish," he whispered. She hesitated, then bowed her head, lips forming a silent prayer for her child, for herself, perhaps for this very moment. With one breath, the candles died, and darkness gave way to something more luminous. Alex's hands moved nervously inside his jacket. He drew out the ring, its small circle glinting with the promise of forever. His voice faltered, yet carried through the hush. "Tuna, will you be mine? Not just tonight, but always." Tears welled in her eyes, blurring the gold and the glow alike. She nodded. First, a trembling gesture, then a firm answer. "Yes." His relief broke into quiet laughter, a breath he had held for too long. He slid the ring onto her hand, its fit perfect, as if it had waited for this very skin. Silence lingered after, tender and trembling. Then Tuna spoke, her words softer than rain against glass. "Alex, there is more. I discovered I am carrying your child." The revelation hung between them, fragile yet powerful. His eyes widened, not with fear, but with a joy that shook him to stillness. The night became infinite. The night stretched like velvet, heavy with unspoken promises. Alex's first impulse was to carry her into celebration, to take her to the festival alive with music and lanterns. But Tuna shook her head gently, her gaze drifting beyond the glass toward a child she could not forget. "Henry is waiting," she said, her voice tender but resolute. Alex understood. The festival could wait, family could not. They lingered only long enough to capture the moment. Under the warm glow of street lamps, Tuna held the bouquet close, the fragrance of roses and lilies mingling with the rain-washed air. Alex raised his phone, framing her against the backdrop of the city, her white blouse bright as a promise. They laughed quietly, capturing not perfection, but truth. Walking together, steps slow, they seemed to fold into each other's rhythm. For Alex, each glance at her carried the weight of years of waiting, now transfigured into certainty. For Tuna, each breath came lighter, as if she were learning, for the first time, that she did not have to carry life's burdens alone. The ring on her hand caught the light, a small circle binding their futures. At last, as he fetched the car, Alex turned back, voice steady, almost a whisper. "Let's go home, my love." She pressed the flowers to her chest, eyes luminous, and nodded. Home was no longer just a place of walls and roofs, but a promise of belonging. Beneath the quiet sky, they walked into a tomorrow shaped not by fear, but by the tender certainty of love, of family, of beginnings.
Những ngày bận rộn ở vùng cuối, Alex vừa lo lắng công việc vừa canh cánh chuyện tình cảm. Anh từng tỏ tình với Tử Na nhưng chưa nhận lại phản hồi. Đúng ngày sinh nhật cô, anh bí mật chuẩn bị một buổi tiệc hoa nhỏ, bánh, chờ giấy nhận. Alex đón Tử Na cùng với Henry, gửi con của mình chăm sóc để đưa cô đi mua áo mới rồi đến nhà hàng sang trọng. Tại đây, Tử Na bất ngờ vì một lần được mừng sinh nhật. Trong ánh nến và hoa, Alex ngỏ lời cầu hôn. Cô xúc động, đồng ý tiết lộ mình đang mang thai con với anh, và câu chuyện khép lại bằng lời hứa về một mái ấm bình yên nơi tình yêu.